Hello.
I have transitioned us live.
Hey-o.
Hello, everybody. This is my broken-handed avatar. Welcome to DooMing with me, Draggor. Hopefully y'all can hear just fine. Some of that music you heard was from a royalty-free music website made by an artist going by the name Loyalty Freak Music, which is an amusing headline I greatly enjoy.
Loyalty?
Paul Wade is asking, did I miss my super early? We are just getting started. I also see an Iggy and a QQH. Oh, look, an Aussie snack. Huzzah! In the chat, we've got Xander, of course. Hi, Xander. Did you have good golf games?
I'm not in game. I'm just in... What's up?
Did you have good golf games?
I had good golf games. We finished. It was amazing.
Hooray!
And yeah, this was kind of crazy. So I was able to properly host over here. Well, we'll see. Whatever. But I think everyone's switched over anyway.
We've also got a Gray Foxen, a Head Foxen, we got Jumbles, and of course, our special guest for the episode today, Firr.
Whoop.
Aw, I am special.
You are! Welcome, Firr. Huzzah!
Huzzah and kudos.
I was there. I was listening when Iggy was talking about me getting hustled in golf for real dollars. I said Iggy was a very bad person and that they made me look bad. Oh, I got blown out that second match pretty hard. Iggy let me win the first one. Not let me win, just I'm proficient enough that Iggy didn't have to, you know, embarrass me with the UFO power-up. Yeah, Jumbles, Iggy and I did a Kirby's Dream Course.
Oh, that's what you're talking
for money on the line for charity, and I had to donate a lot of money to charity because Iggy spanked me in front of metaphorically in Kirby's Dream Course. But we're playing Doom right now, so I'm going to move us over to the Doom Live, and let's do this thing. We are going to talk about today all of the very stuff Firr and myself and others have been doing, not just during this pandemic, but for online conventions, things that have happened and things that are hopefully coming up as well, as we're in the last legs of this. So, I'm moving, folks. Okay.
Oh, the server
Jumbles, I
feels
don't know
so
if
much
you were
more cozy.
Yeah, well, this is just people can join in and listen live if they don't want to hear the delay or the audio routing or whatever, and I don't have to worry about external noise. I just said that realizing all of my windows are still open and I live in Chicago. Let's see what the microphone picks up.
Nice.
Yeah, that's why I didn't run my generator today.
So chat. Oh, I got one thing slightly incorrect. I need to bring the Restream chat open. I forget this. I'm still getting used to Restream. Sorry, folks. Just a couple of more seconds. Firr, how are you doing this fine weekend?
I am doing absolutely fantastic. I just had a nice dinner, and now I'm about ready to shoot some people. It's been great.
This is why I've started
Sounds like a
saying,
good day.
Other than I say we're playing a first-person shooter, I always try to say when I get someone, I say fragged, just so if someone's overhearing me talk about a thing, I have to worry less about, what someone might be misinterpreting.
Oh, yeah. So, fun story. Back in 2016, when I was working at a theme park, there's a break room, and people can watch whatever they want on the TV. And this was, right when, esports was, getting really huge. So someone put on, a Counter-Strike tournament.
Okay.
And then people were... Then someone else just heard from the break room all these people talking about, man, he can't use that semi-auto from there. He's not going to get a good viewpoint. Completely not noticing the context. And long story short, the police came and visited everyone that day.
Oh my glob.
What the fuck?
Who did I just fragged maybe for the BFG. How many of us are playing? I could maybe... Xander's spectating. Okay. Jumbles, are you in?
Yeah. Hello?
Huzzah.
I'm not in yet, sorry.
There's Jumbles. Okay.
Yeah, I don't even have a stupid name yet.
So I heard Xander talk about it. It was mentioned. Xander's been wanting me to ask this. So this, the VR headset poker that people,
Yes.
that Alkali's currently nanners for.
Yes.
Is there any way... Motherfucker, that fire just carried me into acid. Is there any way to participate and play that without having the whole headset?
They do not have a VR or a desktop mode as far as I'm aware.
Is there an informal people on forums have figured out a way?
I'm not sure because from what I understand,
I kind of wondered that too, just because so many people seem to have the motion sickness. I do not have any of that problem, but I just know so many people who have that problem.
the thing is, if I remember correctly, PokerStars was developed as a VR demo application. And it's meant to show the optimizations of poker in VR. It was a tech demo first off.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of like saying, it's like saying, is there a desktop version of Half-Life Alyx? No. Are there people trying to make one? Probably, but right now it doesn't exist, and it kind of defeats the whole point of having just a social thing. And because it runs on the Quest and stuff, it's one of the things where it's pretty accessible versus some of the other platforms.
Oh. Wait,
Oh,
so
I'll be
it's
right back.
only
Sorry.
on the Facebook one?
No, it's on all of them. It's just they have it's one of those quote unquote big apps for the Quest.
Ah, okay.
And I think the whole point of it is because when you're in VR, you're able to give more information in terms of body language, where you're looking, how you talk, that playing with a robot that doesn't really do any of that kind of kills the vibe for everyone.
Oh,
which
so
is why I think
it's if you're grinning like an idiot, that's translating over and you're tipping your hand.
Yeah, it's it's a very different experience than playing, because you can play poker online. You can play poker with desktop. There's hundreds of different apps that do that. But when everyone is in VR, you can see them moving around, shifting, talking. And like you hold just normal conversations, and like you can look at someone and just like whisper to them, and no one else can hear it. Like the way you do that is you actually whisper.
That's cool.
So it's one of it's one of those things where it's definitely the purpose, like definitely like the fact that it is in VR, it takes advantage of that a lot.
Wow.
Which
All
is
right.
what I really and like to me, like it's and it's like VR chat where like if you want to go there and just have a social experience, like there's been plenty of times there where like we're just half-assed playing the poker part, and it's just people talking, having just chilling for the evening.
That's what Alkali certainly has mentioned when he's been playing it. That
Yeah,
tends to happen a bunch.
The most common tables are like the $1 tables, and you get like $1,000 every day when you log in, so you can sit there and lose every single hand and still be able to play all day and just kind of chat with people.
Hey, sounds good to me, because outside of the fact that I understand how the game works, my ability to bluff or lead people on is pretty terrible. So
just say I love you and they get all flustered.
I will have to remember this. What was it Alkali was saying? Was playing late the other night, and it sounded clearly like two frat guys that knew each other really well had other plans when they were done with the game.
I forgot I was muted. Damn it.
Xander!
Oh yeah.
Whoops.
I
Sorry.
found Xander.
I found myself. Woo!
I got discovered
over here.
by a Soylent Yeen's bullets. Oh,
All right.
Jumbles.
Let's see.
So, Firr, of the various convention, online, and VR projects...
Draggor, real quick. Draggor.
Yes?
Before we get off this subject, because it's related, I wanted to mention to Firr, has he seen the new attachment, which like basically does the micro expressions for like your eyes and your mouth and stuff? That's the new.
You mean
deal.
the Vive Pro lip tracker, which I currently am watching the tracking to get that'll arrive on Monday?
Yeah, that one.
Oh, I
It's
saw
on-
that.
Oh boy, of course you
Well,
did.
so I do a lot of VR development, and even like my day job, like I've been doing VR development for them now. And the thing, I'm not too excited about it in terms of just like being able to like track your lips and do do cool like expressions. I feel that's going to be cool, but the thing that I'm really excited about that thing is that because it is such a precise tracker of your mouth movements, in terms of accessibility, like if you're someone who like doesn't have use of some, like a limb, you can use the mouth as like an alternate input.
That's what I was
Gotcha.
starting to wonder with. We were kind
That's
of
cool.
talking about it this weekend, how as VR is today, it is incredibly ableist.
Yeah, like, there's like that's
True.
the thing is like VR on its own, and I feel like a lot of platforms kind of don't include accessibility at the start, but they're slowly integrated. I'm thinking console gaming. It took how long for the Xbox to build the adaptive controller? But
oh yeah, I'm sure.
and then
Yeah, I
like
get
once
what you're saying.
but like in terms of like alternate control schemes and stuff, in terms of trying to be able to have more people, and VR is like one of those things that also makes a bunch of assumptions. If you don't have both eyes and you try to play VR, it's not just like it's not just like trying to play on a screen. It becomes almost impossible because they use so much in terms of like gameplay, like depth clues
Really?
that become
Yeah.
much more difficult.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
No, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
What surprised me, like, you guys are saying like you just can't boot up a desktop client that just spoofs VR stuff. Like it sounds like they just need a better interface for controls, so that like third parties can develop their own solutions for controls.
Oh yeah. The problem becomes, and this is something that's getting better, is that when VR was new, 2016, 2017, like consumer VR, the Vive came out, the Quest or the Oculus CV1 came out. Every system had its own input, like basically their own control APIs, their own system, like ways to interact with it, and it was super closed off. And it was kind of like, the first few like game consoles where like you had no standardization. There was no real easy way to say like, even like, this joystick does this for this controller. Now it's starting to get standardized more, where if you're developing a game, you don't develop for hardware, you just develop for a platform, kind of like what you do with making video games. Is like you can make the same game for a PlayStation versus an Xbox versus a PC. Now you can do it for all the headsets, and because of that, the control scheme also is becoming more standardized. So I'm starting to see more like third-party options for accessibility like that.
Gotcha. Yeah. Totally.
I'm envisioning like instead of having to like bind and do every last little thing, coding to an API says you have to provide an adapter that maps. If you're using a joystick controller, use this scaling function. If you're using a mouse, scale your output between 0 and 1 following this function.
Yep.
Right.
That's what they're actually moving towards right now. So there's like, if you're making a game, you don't develop for controllers. It's called OpenXR. Like, it's their framework now.
Huh.
It's my framework and I want it now.
Yeah.
J.G. Wentworth. I think I got things mixed up.
Like it's such a shock going from like a Unity API or like Unreal or something, where you don't have to worry about hardware at all anymore.
Mm-hmm.
To now, it's like we're back to the 90s where every device has its own shit. Neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and the thing is, like, if you're making stuff in Unity for VR now, like you can build stuff that cross compiles. You can build stuff that plays nice on Oculus and Steam and HTC's World.
So wild.
But yeah, it took a while to get there because, like, I remember my first VR video game that I released that I put out in 2016. I had to literally make it like 3 or 4 different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Mobile development was like that, and it still largely is, but like you can do Unity and it targets both. You probably have to do custom work to make it really worthwhile, but it is technically an option.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to imagine your different headsets or setups are like that. It's like, we have found that this joystick on this particular hardware doesn't work by default, so here's a custom code detection driver for if on this platform, do it this way.
Yep.
Yeah.
And at least now, like, I know a lot of people give crap on them for being a giant company, but Steam definitely has done a lot of, or Valve's done a lot of that heavy lifting to make sure everything can be compatible using their specific, like, drivers and firmware.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely in Steam's best interest to try and make themselves the standard.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like,
If what makes me crazy is PS4 has a really cool tool called Dreams. I'm sure you've seen it by Media Molecule, but it's all like locked to that hardware, that stupid PS4. It's just locked to it. It's just so the best you can get out of it is just people uploading videos of it on YouTube.
yeah.
It's just so confined by its being on that. Like, it was like how you're saying everything's like open in Unity and this and that and cross-platform now. Meanwhile, these guys are over here like, oh my god, it's like work is going to waste. It's going to be just like It's just
Yeah.
going to be that, and that's it. Which is fine, but ugh.
It's like my specific thing behind like Dreams is that it's a very very good way to get people to dip their toes into making.
Yeah.
I wish just
And-
like as a platform, it was open. Like things like that. If you want, the part of the thing of being open to people making stuff is not a fear of it going away for an arbitrary reason, such as
Yeah, and that's a
PlayStation
lot
has
these
decided
days.
it's gone now.
Yeah. Was the WWE Network going over? Not that I care, but everyone's like, "Oh, my shit's gone." They're like, "Yeah, I guess that happens when
They're-
everything's digital."
They just did more to encourage torrenting and piracy than putting on a shitty product.
Yeah.
But yeah, convention stuff. Because I want to talk
Convention
about a lot
stuff.
of that. Because
Yeah.
I'm very curious. At least
Oh man.
whatever you are willing to identify and talk about, because I know there's at any given instant we all have our various secret or not so secret projects we hope turns into something functional, and the worst thing
Oh,
we could
man.
possibly do for it is talk about it before it's ready.
Well, I can talk about a thing that I'm actively working on, and actually, I still got like the GitHub page tabbed in the background. I'm probably
Ooh.
gonna finish this when I'm done. So one thing specifically with virtual conventions, and this is where I'm going to give First Squared a lot of props, is that a lot of these VR cons really don't do very well by their dealers, and a lot of the problem is like this VR, like if you're making a VR world, a lot of artists don't know necessarily how to make stuff for 3D or for VR. And it just becomes kind of a mess where artists can get really easily confused if they're trying to build like a space for themselves inside of your convention.
Right.
So I've been working with a couple of conventions that are coming up to try to make this idea of a standardized convention booth. Where if you're an artist, you just have to make one image and there's already a template for you, and it just drag and drops into the world. And if you're the world maker, you can just take those pre-made assets and kind of customize it to your world, but as long as you keep like the base the same, an artist can just come in and drop in whatever they want, and you don't have to worry about like an artist getting worried that their stuff isn't going to look good, or, and this is the big piece of feedback, spending, several hours making something specifically for your con when like that's money or that's time they can't spend on commissions.
Yeah, and like you don't want to, and it's the reproducibility part. Like if you have look at it like web ads, especially for us that are as old as the internet itself. How many times do you see like, this is a standard banner ad size. If you have this already, all you got to do is submit it, and it's done. You don't have to make a new one. You've made the art, you've made the ad, it has your up-to-date relevant info. All you got to do is submit it. That is such a relief for so many people.
Yeah, and it's and the thing is, especially like with VR, it's like you can take those assets and just like like a web ad back in the old Web 1.0 days, you can make the banner go wherever you want. You can customize it, which is what's really cool about like this idea that I'm trying to work with a couple of cons, is just like it's this nice standard like baseline that artists and conventions kind of work together, and that way it takes away the time of having to make it yourself, which means you have more time to make other stuff, and because it's already all standardized, you're probably going to get more artists into your dealer's den, and you're going to get more and if you're an artist, you're going to be able to go out to more conventions. Because like, and that's the thing, is like at every furry con, like the dealer's den is the same, is a very similar layout for that reason.
Booths and tables in the convention circuit tend to be similar in specific measurements, venue differences aside, just for the sheer fact of the convention circuit is a thing. The easier it is for your dealers to, move their setups around, the more likely you are to just have a more diverse set of folks showing up anyway.
Exactly.
Then anyone can show up and be part of your event, not just the people that already know how to be part of your event.
I have a question along these lines. For digital booths, have you looked at doing like TARDIS type stuff where, the booth is bigger on the inside than on the outside?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So
I want to do so much of that in VR.
So here's kind of where I'm going with this idea, is that the idea of like making it super easy for an artist is kind of the baseline. If you're just a normal like digital artist, you're not super familiar with 3D design, 3D development, you just follow this template and you're off to go. If you're a little bit better, like if you're a little bit more versed in this stuff, you can take the actual model that we give you and edit it however you want. So if you went, another convention I worked with right after Furr Squared was called Blue Ridge Fur Fair. And that was kind of the beta test for this convention booth idea. And there were a couple that basically made a cool shader where the top banner, where normally it's just a JPEG, like as you stare at it, it would go off into the distance, and it was this like cube you could look into, and you look left and right, and you could kind of see it go off into an impossible space, something you can only do in VR. That's something that's really cool and something, a more advanced user can do, but I don't want to make that like the default.
Well, sure, but I just, along with what you were just saying, when you look at real convention space where, square footage is such a premium,
Oh yeah.
The fact that, you could be, the lowest artist on the totem pole, and it doesn't matter. You still have your one table, and when someone walks inside, you have as much floor space as you fucking want.
Oh yeah, totally. And the thing is, like, that's the cool thing is, like, it gives you the option. But at the same time, if you want to make a giant booth space where it's like something that you can go inside of and walk around and make it teleport you to a fancy island or something, that takes a lot of effort on the side of the artist, which a lot of them don't have that time, effort, and also requires a lot of time both between the artists and the convention to get that set up and running. So, which is, and I mean, it's cool. And the thing is, like, I'm sure every convention would be more than willing to work with people on that. And it's like, you've got those options. Like, it's meant to start as a baseline. You want to turn it into a little, like, I saw some artists that were like, it wasn't exactly that, but this was specifically in Neos. You click a button and it actually shrunk you down, so you're on the table, and there's like a little, it was like a little like runway, and like all the avatars you could buy, they would walk down the runway, and you would just click on it if you wanted more info.
Hey, Firr.
That's so cool.
How hard is it? Pick Neos or VR chat for Unity. How hard would it be? Let's say you tell people, if you make a little 3D world, a room, that is specifically like your booth, but make it as if the scale is, let's call it ginormous. Let's call it 100 feet by 100 feet. You can make that, but when you bring it into the quote-unquote dealer's den, it's scaled to 1/10. So it's like 10-foot cubes you're walking by. And then if you want to go check it out, it does that shrink thing, but everything appears scaled to you. How hard would it be to, if someone provides a file, for example, that is of the correct specifications, how is it possible to effectively script bringing that in or stitching that together, or is that still a lot of work?
The problem is it's actually not that difficult to do something like that. So if you're doing that in VR chat, what you have to do is you have to make that a whole separate space. VR doesn't let VR chat. Actually, basically every VR platform right now still has to follow the laws of physics in terms of space and time. You can't get into.
I was kind of saying, like, with the shrinking, technically all you have to do is just make your stuff and set your scale to and as long as you're not disobeying, as long as you're not cramming too many polys into one scene that makes every person's machine crash.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, there's no dynamic loading yet.
There is. It's just that specifically takes a fair amount of work in VR chat specifically. It just takes a lot of. That's kind of an advanced feature, the kind of like culling system that you're talking about. It's totally possible. It's just that it's one of those things that's technically out of the grasp of what I feel is the majority of the people that are making and working in these worlds.
At this
So
time,
for the dynamic,
At this time.
so when you say the dynamic loading, like is that something that if you know what you're doing, you can like write scripts to interact with that? So like when you're talking about as long as the artists provide, one, or let's say it takes 5 assets with the banner being the only part that's required and the other 4 are optional. So you have your background banner, and you can have these images that go on your quote-unquote desk, and you can have this on the floor in front of you, and blah. If all of that was basically set up in a folder with a spreadsheet, could you have like a script at world load dynamically build your dealer den if all of the data was there?
Yeah, that's something you can totally do. It just the problem is with VR chat specifically, there's a fair amount of manual stuff you'd still have to do just because of the way VR chat kind of operates. You'd have to bake in basically it'd be called trigger calling. Basically, you'd have to bake all that into the world as you build it. There's no good way to like kind of automate that build at runtime because like VR chat doesn't actually use. Like, you can't do a lot of Unity scripting for VR chat. You basically use it as kind of your world builder, and then you have to use their scripting, which is pretty limited in that kind of stuff. But it's getting more and more advanced all the time, so I definitely see that being possible in the near future.
So, is there, like... From the way you're talking, it sounds like the only option right now is to, have the entire world load at once? Is there no...
The whole world can load, but then you can like pull it outside of the render, like out of the render space, so it's not actually a performance hit. It's just a bigger world size when you load it.
I mean, just using the example of what we're talking about, it would seem to me like from a resource standpoint, if you were in a virtual convention, the best way to do it once these booths are getting really advanced and complex would be, basically everyone just gets a door, right? And you wouldn't load their booth until you actually went in, and then it would unload the rest of the convention for you or whatever.
Yeah, that's basically how you would do it. Like, the idea of like a space where they shrink you into it, you can't do in VR chat because you can't actually shrink the player characters. But what you can do is you can make a little model of it, and then as soon as the person like touches it or interacts with it, it can teleport you to a skybox, like how Second Life did it forever. I think probably still does it.
Speaking of Second Life, do we want to briefly acknowledge the currency?
Oh, you mean how I ran a casino and suddenly became a billionaire? Oh, that fun story?
Yeah.
I thought you could actually trade that money for real money.
Yeah, and I did.
Oh, I do want to hear
the
the story. That
already, by the way, follow Firr on Twitter. It's
please
enjoyable.
Don't. I'm way less of an asshole in real life than I am on Twitter, I swear.
Hey, now to be fair, these days I feel like your Twitter has been less of an asshole, and that's more been charged through Foursquare. Hey, I haven't told you to stop, have I?
And I'm just as confused as anyone else is why you haven't. No, so back in the far off year of 2000 and I think 8 was when I got into Second Life. And I wasn't great of a modeler. I wasn't great of like world builder. But what I did get into was the Lua scripting and making things do stuff in Second Life. So I ended up making two things. The first thing was basically just straight up recreation of Slingo, which was popular on AOL at the time. It's basically
You youngins know what AOL.
Oh man. I still remember when my dad had to pull me aside and give me a very stern talking to, because I played this like paintball game on AOL, and it was a premium game that was 99 cents an hour or something.
What?
I just remember my dad being like, when you play on this computer, it costs us real money. I was like, but it's electronical. But yeah, so I made a recreation of Slingo, and I kind of turned into like this. It was a game. You gave it lindens, and you could win a prize. It wasn't technically gambling because it was a game of skill. Technically,
God, the first weird funny money I ever knew of. That was before a Dogecoin and everything.
Oh, dude, it was cool.
And I didn't mean to derail like that.
Oh no, dude! Lindens are like it's like the thing I never got about. Like Lindens was like my introduction to like stock market and setting things like limit orders and waiting for the market to collapse before buying stuff.
Draggor, wasn't Alkali also involved in the weird, stupid Doom stock market?
Oh,
I thought so. I thought I knew people involved in the stupid Doom stock market.
I love any game that does a free market between real money and digital money.
Not Doom, Diablo. My bad. Not Diablo.
Oh, yes.
Diablo 2 or Diablo 3?
No, I thought Alkali
Either way,
didn't
I think they both had a weird, stupid stock market.
I thought he did like either an EverQuest or an early World of Warcraft auction house.
I thought it was Diablo, but you could be right.
Sounds like Diablo 2. Is this like high school times?
Yeah.
Diablo 2.
And he's a little bit older than us.
Cool. Yeah.
I think Diablo 2. You couldn't really make real money off Diablo 3. Too many people tried, and it was a bad game.
Yeah, right?
Oh, man.
No, Diablo 2, not to derail, one of the people at Pastimes that I played Magic with that had like the most impressive collection, one guy told me, like, you know how he got his collection, right? I was like, no, he traded his Diablo collection for it.
Yeah.
The guy traded like 5 figures worth of Diablo shit for 5 figures of Magic shit.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, if you were really up there, and the shame is, Draggor and I, we were like maybe a year off from being profitable there. Because I was running bots and getting all the stuff. 6 more months of that, I would have started selling it, but that's when they changed it and stopped it all.
Yeah.
So sorry for derailing this whole conversation.
Should have gotten into the Neopets stock market. That was where the real
God.
Real volatility was, because they had scripted stock market crashes.
Keeping that shit in glass cases.
Oh man.
Neopets was so bizarre.
I found recently, we'll get back to convention topics in a second, but I found recently, Jumbles, do you remember when we had those little handheld pet things? And there was the version of them where you could make the contacts touch and make them battle?
Yeah, I do remember that.
I found my blue one, but I couldn't resurrect it. I think it might have finally gotten tossed.
Well, the internal battery was probably fried.
I took it apart and replaced it, and it still wouldn't work.
I mean, all it takes is one fucking component to corrode beyond use with that kind of stuff.
So, okay. So, virtual stuff. Firr. So, everyone here heard me talk about in various forms of what the multi-stream was, leading up to it, the things, all the crazy shit you were inventing for it. Is that something that's still hopefully going to make a comeback somehow?
Yeah, I've been pitching it to a couple of cons. I think we might be using it at Virtual AC coming up. because the system worked really well at First Squared, so I'm hoping more people can use it.
So, because it's drop in, drop out, right?
Yeah.
So this is a, like, you obviously do not need to say yes to this because, you know, it's live on a stream and I'm just kind of springing it on you. But you know that I finally have the server that's on the same internet hookup as when I did the movie streams over First Squared. I now own a server on, like, that isn't a loaner from Martini. So one of the things that I think, I don't know, you tell me if this is worthwhile, but the multi-stream, for example, that could be a regular event that doesn't have anything to do with conventions, technically.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Like, what's one of the things that artists in general are missing out on outside of the convention circuit? Any local group tended to have, you know, their coffee nights, their meetup nights, or during the bowling meetups, there's little mini artist alleys. Folks gather and do art jams all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's been versions of it. I see it happen all the time on Discord, but Discord has user caps. You're at the mercy of Discord services for that evening or day. So I kind of wanted to pitch, can we figure out a way to use this server that I have now and have, like, a once a month, or hell, even if we get enough people to do it, here's your Friday night art stream. You connect here, go. And the best part is, because I don't have to worry about freaking copyright bots, is we can actually use things according to fair use.
You know, you guys might be onto something beyond just a convention product of having, like, this rotating artist channel. Like, there might be something there.
So one of the things...
yeah, it's...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So one of the things I've been trying to get off the floor is like a VR thing called the Eternal Dead Dog, which was like just gonna be like a Sunday afternoon meetup. Like, it was specifically for VR chat because everyone meets up at like midnight. I wanted to do something that was like, you know, normal people hours. But yeah, like I feel that it's something the one thing I don't want to do is try to make it like a 24/7 thing where like anytime you can drop in and drop out, because I don't think there's enough interest for it, and like I want to make it feel like it's kind of something special. But that being said, like my hope is to turn this like all open source into something that, you know, you can just use yourself.
I mean, that's always an awesome and commendable goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, the biggest limiting factor for anything of size is going to be any given person's internet connection, but we're not the only furries that have access and ability to internet. If you know enough furries, you probably know someone who holds up the internet by now.
Oh yeah. And like, and the one good thing about the way the multi-stream works is that, like who's ever doing the hosting needs a lot of download, not a lot of upload, which kind of jives with most cable connections that people have in the United States, where it's like, yeah, you get like 400 megabit down, but only 20 up. And
if you even get that, I think I'm in Chicago and I'm capped at 12 or 15. It's really obnoxious.
So it's like the good thing about the system is like it you know, everyone's sending their video to you, so technically everyone's uploading once, but you're downloading it all and then just uploading it one more time to go out. So, but yeah, it's like one of those things where it's like, that's kind of where I want to figure out, like, how would I turn this into, like, my goal is to make it into some kind of like package that someone can just download and deploy, like a Docker image. But before I can get to that, I've got to learn what Docker is. So I feel that's a little bit far out for me.
I can help you with that. Docker may or may not be what you want to do for this for various reasons, but we can talk.
Yeah,
I use Docker's been my day job. It's been my life as a developer for a while. So
Hey, quick aside. I request Holy Trinity.
sure.
I love that song.
All right, so we're here. What? Did I type it wrong? Bear with me a quick second. I am going to create the... Look at why it did not load the game mode correctly.
I missed them already.
Here, I can carry this. Because like when you're talking about like doing the multi-stream and switching between artists, like from like a capitalist perspective, I look at like, could you imagine if DeviantArt just had that like 24/7? Like I know you said you didn't want to do 24/7, but that's just kind of where my brain went.
Oh yeah, it's like, well, it's the idea is like like I've kind of built it around the idea of a landing page where you don't necessarily like you can sit there and you can watch it, but it's kind of like just seeing like these are all the people active, and then underneath that, like you can go to everyone's specific Picardo page or their Twitch page. So yeah, it's like one of those things. Like if like I always thought of like the homepage of Picardo showing like this giant cacophony of artists, and then being able to just randomly flip between them and showcase, without having to like spend too much of your bandwidth on it.
Right.
Which is like I feel further down the line that's something that I definitely want to look into. But like the whole idea I had behind this was just kind of like make it feel more like an artist alley.
Yeah.
Like if you've ever been to one and like.
Yeah, absolutely.
The problem with the problem with a lot of virtual conventions is that it's hard for you to stand out if you're just a name or like a JPEG.
Yeah.
Right, and that's what I love about it is like you're giving everyone a chance to be seen, if only for a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, and like, so Xander and Alkali did this a couple of times. I forget if they were invited or how y'all set this up, but basically Xander and Alkali kind of did a riffing while the person who normally puts on the stream was drawing. So like you could almost do it as a once in a while gimmick as well, where you've got your QVC style hosts talking about what's going on the stream itself as well.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I think you guys are tapping into something here, like that digitizing that kind of experience really hasn't been done yet, and it would be a cool thing, even without a fucking global pandemic.
Yeah, it's I really want to play with this, and that's kind of why I want to try to open source this sooner rather than later, is that like there's so many ways this can go, and ways that I'm not even like considering, I feel, at this point.
Yeah.
And like if I could and the thing is like if someone else has an idea to go with this, like I want to see that. Like that gets me going. I like seeing like the stupid amount of creativity that people can make out of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
After First Squared, seeing multiple people online or in the various chat groups say, I actually feel PCD, it was almost like a real con, was the biggest flattery we could have gotten for anything we did for First Squared online.
What's PCD?
Post-con depression.
Oh, okay.
You
that
partied
is actually
so hard, you're sad, it's not gonna be that good, and party in quotes.
Your non-furry is showing there, Jumbles.
Yeah, it does.
Hey,
It
PCD
does.
happens from Gen Con every year. It's like, I just spent my entire weekend playing Dungeons & Dragons, Magic the Gathering, and playtesting new shit while costuming. To a certain extent, like, especially because Gen Con is only once a year, the high I get at it is very different from what I get from a furry convention. And that this is basically 2 years in a row that it ain't happening is really weird and really unfortunate.
Yeah.
I would say I have PCD with board game conventions. I really do love those.
Not
Like,
gonna
what do you
lie.
mean I don't get to spend all day, every day playing board games with friendly people?
Yeah, exactly. Like you go from you back to go to the quote unquote real, whatever your real world is, and in a FurCon, you're around accepting people who jive with you. You know?
Yeah.
Right.
I can only imagine like the hell, like just the shell shock it is. Like if you are a board game enthusiast and you go back to hanging out with your buddies and you say, "Hey, let's play a board game," and they're like, "Yeah, I love Cards Against Humanity."
Oh, no.
No, I actually got to the point where I had to go through my collection and get rid of those kind of games so that when I asked my friends, "Hey, which game do you want to play?" they wouldn't pick those.
Yeah, like, at least like Munchkin or something, please, just something more than this.
Oh no, Munchkin's in that category for sure.
No. Look. But would you rather play Cards Against Humanity or Munchkin? That's the question.
Cards Against Humanity. You have agency in that game.
Right?
Sorry, it's just how it is for me. At least I make decisions in Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah. Any game that inherently is you have to try to be in third is an obnoxious, even if unintentional, mechanic. I don't, for the most part, enjoy it.
No, I'm big into Euro games, so, you know, if it takes less than 60 minutes and doesn't have a bunch of wooden pieces, I'm not interested.
Wood for sheep.
We
for
have
sheep,
strayed
baby.
far from
What game is that?
Settlers of Catan.
That's it.
Yep.
But that's with cards. Oh no, but you have the wooden pieces for your roads and your settlements.
Jungles,
and
you
stuff.
introduced me to it because Settlers of Catan has a lot of inherent frustrating problems that mean you're never going to win early on. And that's why I like, what is it? Not Space Base. Space Base?
Yeah, Space Base.
Space Base.
Yeah, it's a real stupid name, but that's what it is.
It is.
Very
It is
good.
a lot like. It's both very different. It's like there's no trading in Space Base, but as far as like how it works and how things still can happen on other people's turns, where you have to be just enough engaged, and the turns are quick. Thank goodness for that. I used to call Settlers of Catan the like a gateway board game. So what is
It
it?
still is.
Milton Bradley and Hasbro. Those are Ameritrash games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
not even technically. That's just like old trash. Ameritrash usually means like thematic shit. Honestly, most of the board games you like is Ameritrash. Like fucking the Cthulhu one and stuff.
I don't really
or,
play that one that much anymore.
The Camelot one, that's all Ameritrash.
Wait. If you're there are certain mechanics that are annoying about
One of the major
Shadows of
things
Camelot.
that qualifies something as Ameritrash is if the theme is more important than the mechanics.
Oh. Well, see, I want both.
Candyland.
Like, I'm fine with Euro games, but like, how many of them need to be based around transportation, farming, and development? For fuck's sake, let me use your goddamn bean counting while trying to summon an eldritch horror. I'll be happy.
I think I
Don't
would
worry.
Oh man, we're about to have like a fight breaking out here in the board game fandom.
No, I like that. That's a good point. It's like,
No,
I must manage a village. Fuck that.
You would really like Dungeon Pets. When you come visit, we should play
Dungeon Pets? The name
Yes.
is wonderful already. Alkali is excited
Yes.
for the wrong reasons.
It is the most thematic game I've played. One of the most thematic games I own. You're literally like
you
basically
have a bunch
a
of twinks
dungeon.
in leather in your dungeon, and you have to take care of them while
Yeah,
also.
basically.
God.
I mean, you're basically like a Pokemon master in a fantasy setting, right? So like you buy
Pokemon.
monsters. You have to
Did
like.
you just say Chokemon, Xander?
Chokemon.
You did. Yep, they're Chokemon. You got to
Chokemon.
you got to raise them. You got to level them up, and then you put them in contests and you sell them. So, but it's also like one of the best Euro games I've ever played.
I am very curious about this game.
Yes.
Ooh, Xander just pressed F to roar.
Very, very good game. And the
Oh
like
no,
you
that
said,
was.
the theme is amazing. That you're fucking doing something other than building a European city. You're actually raising monsters, and every monster that you can buy in the game actually has a paragraph of text in the rulebook of like a little flavored description.
Good. I
Um,
love shit
yes.
like that. Hell yeah.
Nice.
One of the features is a monster that isn't bought will like go into the food pile. You know, like basically it gets butchered. But then like so most of them become meat, but like the plant guy becomes plant and the robot guy becomes a piece of metal, and you know, a lot of little just like theme rules that only exist because that's what the characters are. But it still also adds. Did you guys just draw at 40? God
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
we were busy.
it also, you know, adds unique circumstances that are still interesting from the mechanics side of things. So, I'll stop now. I'm sorry, it is a really good game, and I don't get to play it much.
Ooh, MO is saying BS, ain't no draw. I'm like, yeah, it is.
Ooh.
We were fighting. I'm not going to win this next
F's to
one.
roar.
MO
Yeah.
is pretty good.
Thanks for the F's.
Talking about this, and the game ends, it says draw on 40 at the top. Like, what the fuck?
Look, when you're on Unholy Trinity and people gather, one rocket has higher value than any other weapon.
Yeah. I haven't actually been paying attention that much. My
Oh,
score's
God.
been bad. I did do this.
So,
for the
Furr.
rocket.
Furr is here. Hi, Furr.
Hi,
Whoa!
yeah, I totally usurped our guest. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I don't know what to talk about anyway.
It's fine.
I mean,
What other online or virtual stuff? We could spitball and experiment more with what you would like to do with this server that I've got. Speaking of
Yeah.
open source, I was saying I'm basically building up to test it. I think Boozy is going to be the next test for this. Maybe. I've got, and I am going to open source this. I've got a very simple, there's a Django all-auth application that handles Django user creation and administration for all sorts of different providers, one of which is Patreon. And despite Patreon's API being utter dog shit, I kind of got it working. So I have the following that is functional. That streaming server, I can guard that not only behind Patreon logins, but you can select which patron levels you want for it. And additionally, you can, as long as you set up each patron in the system, you can do cross-promotional events. So if Draggor Show and Boozy both wanted to put on an event, and you were only a patron of one of them, it would let you in regardless. So I don't know if this is interesting at all to you or anyone that you know, but I'm looking for some guinea pigs to flesh out what are the bare minimum features, and then I'm putting it up public on GitHub.
hell yeah.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, and just as a gateway login, all you're really doing with it is, you're gating off any web page. In particular, I'm just using Owncast. I'm not even modifying it. So for anyone who's interested in the style of streaming that Furr and I have been talking about that isn't on YouTube or Twitch or anywhere else, where you're at the mercy of some corporation where no human will talk to you, Owncast is something you can set up and run yourself. Doesn't take too much effort, but it certainly helps if you're a knowledgeable Linux person. I don't know if it runs on Windows. I assume it can work on Mac. I don't know why it wouldn't. but it's Mac, and those things
Well,
routinely don't work in an equivalent
And you
way.
could, in theory, be running this kind of stuff on AWS or something like that, right?
You can, but then you're paying for not only your server time, but your bandwidth. So, for
Well, yeah,
example, the service agreement I have, I am on a friend's gigabit parallel up and down stream. So this is the exact house where, if you've heard me talk about our Plan C, D, and E backup plans, Furr's like, okay, the primary one's going to be AWS here. The secondary, well, we were going to do Google, and then AWS is the backup. Then Google shit all over us. So fuck you, Google. And then we went to Amazon. Yeah. So before the event even started, we were on Plan B.
Oh no.
Draggor, I gotta send you this amazing email I got 2 days ago from Google about that.
What? Can you share on stream or no?
Yeah, I can read it verbatim.
You don't have to read it verbatim unless you want to.
Oh no, I can read it verbatim. Don't worry, it won't take long.
Yeah, this is on stream. Wow. Do it. I want to hear this.
This is me to Google, okay? And I'm going to paraphrase my email to Google. I said, hey, I have a paid plan with blank. I am looking for support because every time I try to set up a service, it says nothing is available. Is there another region I can move to where there is more hardware, or is this going to be a problem going forward? Okay, response from Google a month and a half later. Dear Firr, thank you for reaching out.
Fuck you, Google. Fuck you, Google, wow. You piece of shit.
What the hell?
That's
ridiculous. Yeah, I just remembered I submitted a correction to Google Maps and it said I should get a response and I never did. It was a year ago.
Oh my glob. That's offensive and funny and fuck you. So, as I was saying, the server where the first Squared movie stuff was and was fully prepared to host the entire weekend's stream, like literally all of it, that's the internet connection I'm on for the server that I now have hosted there. And the agreement, because like I am paying for this server to be there, there is no bandwidth. Like, making people pay for bandwidth in general with how a lot of these corporations are, it's just rent extraction is really all it is. Because no one's competing for it. Now, it's very common, even on unlimited bandwidth situations, or like paying... You don't have to pay for what you use unless you are using so much where you have the high degree of likelihood of negatively impacting other customers on that pipe. That's where it makes sense. Then you're paying for a limited resource to have priority or have like ownership or a slot. That is just, for the most part, not true for the majority of people's internet at large. It is such a weird scam. Not weird, but it's frustrating.
I wish it were easier, because then you can't, like, when they charge by bandwidth, you never know what you're going to be paying. If they charge you, like, if you know how much you're going to be using per month, it's easier to budget. It's easier to plan. I don't care if that number's higher, just as long as I know it in advance. Not this, like...
Right.
Oh boy, I hope the dice have rolled in my favor and they don't apply the... It's like Uber. It's not like the surge rate right now.
Yeah. Or like...
That's what I personally... Like, I host, like, I have, like, my personal website I host on a site called nearlyfreespeech.net.
Yeah.
And it's, like, they're a completely pay-as-you-go, like, if no one visits your site, you spend, like, 25 cents a month on it or something. But they implemented, like, if you use bandwidth during peak times, it'll cost you more. And I'm like, okay, I understand that. But they never tell you when the peak times are now. At least I'm not sure. Either way, in my case, like, my personal site, I think, cost me a whole $2 a year or something. So I'm not too worried. But like, if it scales up, like that, what happens if I get slash dotted?
right?
Is that still relevant?
It's not. I don't think Slashdot's the driver anymore.
Just Reddit hug of death nowadays.
Yeah.
Reddit hug of death, and if you're in the more tech-centric place, Hacker News. I honestly forget what they call it right now, but Hacker News.
Yeah.
If you're on a host that's not prepared, because essentially every tech industry professional, you know how every tech industry professional used to go to Slashdot? It is Hacker News. The sheer amount of traffic that tech site, that tech news blog gets is incredible. Absolutely incredible. And yeah, it takes down sites that it shouldn't routinely, just because, like, you don't know what it is you're even paying for. Because, it's flexible, and at least the ones that are nice, the site going down is usually better than getting a crazy high bill.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, part of our worry... So, in the First Squared discussion, for example, this came up several times. We're looking at Google, we're looking at Amazon, we're looking at Microsoft, we're looking at DigitalOcean, and the question I had was, all right, First Squared has this very restricted budget for First Squared Online, we have to be lean. What happens if, for whatever fucking reason, we go from 100 people watching our stream to 10,000? Does that hurt us? What happens? Because, like, if the stream's just running on Amazon and we have auto-scaling set up and we misconfigure something, or it decides, we're going to keep your stuff up at all costs, here's a 5-digit bill. That would sink the con.
Yeah. And as much as I hate it, like, that's kind of the cool thing about YouTube and Twitch is that, like, yeah, if you get, if you get more eyeballs on you, at least it's not your bill you gotta pay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's you are the product. Google has gotten how many impressions or ad revenue or what have you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like, it's
is
certainly
YouTube
not-
even profitable yet?
They say they aren't, but that's through the magic of Google accounting.
That's fair. I believe that it was very not profitable for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Hey y'all, I'm gonna get going. I have not eaten yet, so I need
Bad
to get
Dragon.
going.
Oh, goodbye. I love you.
No, shut up.
Go eat some townspeople. Come on.
What?
Do you need me
You're
to
a
DoorDash
dragon,
you
go.
something?
No, I'm good. I have chippies. All right.
Full
I'll talk
body
to you
meat
later.
is not the meat Dragon eats.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
Ah.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Xander. So, Firr, is there other things? We can go to other topics. There's other convention things. What do you want people to hear about is really the primary question. What are you interested in, and what do you want people to hear about?
I have been asked to plug an upcoming convention.
Which one?
So if you haven't heard, Biggest Little FurCon has had to move their in-person dates yet again. Which means there is enough time for them to launch an actual proper virtual convention. And I've been a part of now, I've made VR chat worlds for 6 cons at this point.
Wow.
I've been helping with a bunch of furry cons, and the reason why I'm excited about what BLFC's doing is because it is different than everything else that they've done that all the other cons have done so far. So, first off, their VR portion is going to actually be held in a game called Neos and not in VR chat. Neos is a multiplayer VR metaverse, all those fancy buzzwords things that's being built.
What did you describe it to me as, Firr?
It is socialist furry utopia, is the way I say it.
Oh boy.
Neos was designed and is almost entirely developed by furries. So a lot of the features that are being added are specifically kind of furry centric. It's kind of weird. The best example I can give is the very first part of the tutorial. You're not in the game for more than, I think, a minute and a half before they teach you how to change your size.
Yeah, fucking furries.
You go into your first like avatar world, and they've got a little section for non-anthro characters, and then just a giant hallway of anthro characters. So the way I really describe it is it's like it's more Second Life than anything. The difference between that and VR chat is like VR chat, if you want to make a world, you have to go into Unity, a whole different program, a whole different thing made for making general video games. Sitting in your desktop and building it on your computer, uploading it, going into VR chat, testing it, making changes, uploading, going through that whole process. In Neos, you build the game within the game. So you literally load up a blank world and you can import objects, you can import assets, and you're in the game building it. So it's one of those really cool things because now the actual building of the worlds becomes a social concept in addition,
Oh, sure, right.
which and if you're building something and you set your your public status to building something, you'll have people swinging by to check on how you're doing, maybe offer assistance.
That is awesome. You weren't kidding about the socialism.
Yeah,
I'm just surprised that that's not available in VR chat. That that's literally how Unity works.
Yeah, it's very cool. And if you've used Unity, you're going to be very familiar with the way Neos works under the hood. Neos uses its own engine on the inside, but it's very similar to Unity, and they use Unity as the rendering engine. So you kind of, if you've played with that in VR chat, building stuff in there, or you've played with Unity. Unity's been my day job for about 2 years at this point. So it's very quick to kind of get up and going in that. But the BLFC is being run in Neos, and because of that social building thing, they're ramping it up by actually, if you follow the lore of BLFC, there's always several factions doing things. So they actually have the 3 different factions for this year building stuff for the convention right now. You can log into the game and you can, ramping up to the con, help build stuff, help kind of make it happen. Versus a lot of these VR chat worlds where it's just the day of the convention, they show it off and they're like, here you go. And you kind of, you can interact, you can have a great time, but if you want to kind of get that whole experience of building or playing around with it, you don't really get that. So that's kind of why I've been really excited about what BLFC is doing in terms of their VR stuff.
Yeah, I got to admit, again, that's another example of there's something bigger there, right?
Yeah. Oh, I full disclosure, I am a Patreon of Neos. I give them $12 a month. So I can't say I'm an unbiased observer, but I really enjoy what Neos is doing versus VR chat if I have to compare the two.
Yeah, I want to get into Neos more. It sounds like I have not picked... I've effectively not picked one to try doing anything in yet. And,
yeah,
I know Neos right now is a smaller user base, but it's doing it the way I want. So if more of us who have any kind of audience continue to talk about it through the furry context, I don't care if regular schmoes are there. I just want the furries to be there.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's it is, on a regular night, VR chat has something like 10,000 users. Neos runs about 200-300. So it's definitely a much smaller community, but it's almost Like,
Where everyone knows
and
your
I know
name.
Neos is trying to change this, but it's almost entirely furry. Like, it's definitely and it's such a fun like a different experience than VR chat. And yeah, I just like, and the fact that BLFC is doing it. What's the guy, the furry who's the gamer? Sonic Fox tweeted about it and got a shitload of interest in it.
About Neos?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah.
It's
That
like,
would help.
saw like, I definitely have seen an uptick of people interested in it. I've been showing people how to get their avatar into Neos. Like, it's super easy. You literally drag and drop your character into the game while it's playing, and it's like 6 button clicks.
I do need to try that, because I do have this model of Impy Me here, and...
Yeah,
I
that
wanna-
level of consumer accessibility to the build process, that's a big deal.
It's like, I say Second Life, but the other game that reminds me a lot of it is Little Big Planet.
I never
yep,
really
yep.
did that one.
Me neither, but I know what it is.
It was the cool thing about Little Big Planet was, like, there was a full story mode. Like, there was a full-on game you could play without ever touching any of the creator tools. But the thing they tell you at the very end when you beat the game is that every single one of those levels they made within their own level editor that you can use.
Yeah, it was basically Mario Maker, but more verbose.
Yeah.
Is really what. Yeah, I mean, it's really what it is.
Yeah, and I know that that's not something that a lot of, like, not everyone jives with that kind of idea. Like, a lot of people just want to, wander around and have a social space, which you can totally do in Neos. But the fact that you can peek under the hood basically at any moment is kind of neat. And the cool thing with BLFC is that they are, like, because you're able to build it with them, I feel it's going to be more, like, feel a lot more communal than a lot of these VR chat conventions where it's just, this is something, and the way, and kind of the way Unity works is it's very much geared towards solo devs, like, not even like a group of people making stuff.
Right.
It's like, you had Virtual Furrence, which was Virtual Eurofurrence, and that's an amazingly detailed, amazingly well-done world, but you had to have a team of professional video game developers building that already knew this tool set. Unity is really complicated for someone just getting into it. Especially if you're trying to do, like, the VR chat on top of it. But yeah, so that was my shameless plug for BLFC. Thanks, guys.
I mean, that was some interesting stuff. It kind of sounds like we're getting close. We're not there yet, but we're getting close to where these virtual spaces are going to be a new digital communication method, almost like the way like forums are, or there's plenty of other examples I'm sure you could come up with.
Ready Player One is sooner than we think.
Oh man,
Hopefully with less shitty references.
Oh, hopefully.
Firr, how much do you remember of the first squared code collection con game from this year?
I remember a little bit of it.
Long story short, you can build a story, and as you turn in codes, you can have others with certain conditions that give you messages or advance the story or what have you. So, like, I wrote the whole thing, and it's there to be reused. It's not that hard to add a couple of endpoints to say, have some triggers in a VR world, interact with the API. Is that something that virtual BLFC might want?
I'm sure they might want that. I know that BLFC and First Squared are already friends, so I'm sure I could probably sell some stuff.
Well, the original plan with all of the virtual theme was we were all going to do it together. 4 of us, maybe I think even 5 in the end, we're all going to do the cyber theme.
Yeah.
Between us all. We had grand dreams that did not come through. But, like, I know there's still... Oh, I just jumped off the edge like a ding-dong. But yeah, I should reach out and do that and maybe learn some Neo stuff to wire up what we have. Because it won't... They've already got, like, a story and everything, right?
Kind of.
So it's not even that I would have to invent a new story. I'd have to learn what they have, break it apart into pieces for the parts they want discoverable through a game.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, so BLFC, like, they are still planning on having an in-person convention in October.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if I've got my room reservation moved over. I just don't know if I'm going.
I am going to scope how I feel. I'm the pessimist in me still might think that it's not going to be it's not going to be the full BLFC experience. It's not going to be the same thing as it was previously.
That too.
So,
But
at the very least,
that location in October is going to be a lot fucking warmer than Chicago. So, like, maybe I turn it into less of a, I'm gonna con this con harder than I've ever conned before, into like, oh, hey, this is what it's like to just chill at BLFC.
Look, I have realized that I have become an old angry man. I'm gonna have to warm back up. Like, there is no way I'm gonna be gunning out of the gate. I'm gonna have to, like, stretch first.
I know me, and I am gonna gun it out of the gate, and then, like, Saturday at noon, I'm gonna go, I think I need to sleep for 3 days. I fucked up.
Mm-hmm. Like, oh man. It's gonna be weird. I don't know what to expect. I'm so scared.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little gnarly. It's gonna be a lot
At the risk
gnarly,
of sounding,
honestly.
I don't want to talk about my day job anymore, but I have a coworker who said he doesn't want to get the vaccine because it still gives him an excuse to not have to be social. He's like, I'm so used to staying in my house.
You could just not tell people. Like, there's
I don't
so
have
many.
my vaccine. Yeah, like, get it and lie.
Dude, I mean, like, I'm trying to figure out how long I can milk that excuse.
Oh no, Gray Fox had just meleeed my sorry ass. Thank you to whoever made the noise blip. I am in the middle of Instagib and I'm not looking at any of my notifications at all. For anyone watching that has not seen this before, this is Instagib and this is the map we affectionately call Jumpy Bullshit.
It is jumpy.
Oh, damn.
What's your favorite sci-fi show, Firr?
My favorite sci-fi show?
Yeah.
I just watched Westworld.
I haven't seen
How
that.
much of it?
I did the first 2 seasons.
So yeah, I guess spoiler alert for anyone that has not seen any of Westworld. It's a very interesting show for the first 2 seasons. So you have not seen, and you don't know anything of the 3rd season?
No.
Okay. You want to talk about Westworld?
Yeah, let's talk about Westworld a bit.
What are your thoughts? Because, like, I'm assuming you're like everyone else. When you finished season 1, what was your response?
I was like, the thing I saw about it was I was like, man, this is the first, like, I don't, I feel I don't follow a lot of subtext when I watch shows. Like, I'm like, I can watch, I watched A Clockwork Orange and I'm like, huh, this is a fun romp through a weird world. I didn't get any of the subtext of it, okay? At the end of Westworld Season 1, I was like, oh, it's about how we're becoming disconnected as people, and, you know, people just, they're the disconnect between entertainment and, you know, reality and blah, 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 blah. I felt like, at the time, when the first time I watched through Westworld Season 1, which was right when I binged it right as the season actually ended. And I was working at a theme park at the time, building theme park experiences. And I thought, oh, this is gonna be a fun theme park show. That's all I knew. Like, it's a futuristic theme park where the robots go wrong.
Have you seen the original
it's
Westworld
gonna
movie?
tell you how you're literally the devil.
Yeah. I watched the movie after that fact.
So, like, all right, the little bit of history I'll inject for you is Westworld was I believe it was directed by, or at the very least, the screenplay was done by Michael Crichton. So that is who created Westworld.
I'm a big fan of his Blu-ray collections.
The exact same movie as Westworld is more commonly known as Jurassic Park. And if you've I used to read a lot of Michael Crichton books. The main shtick that Michael Crichton does is take a topic that is somehow rooted in science and then tell the story about how it goes wrong, because scientists are full of hubris. And so, like, the show, they announced, it's I blank out his name, but it's Christopher Nolan's brother, so is Jonathan Nolan and someone else has created it. So like, this might be a slightly more cerebral take on man's folly. Let's watch. So
yeah,
Yeah, I've heard a lot of Crichton stuff actually comes off as anti-intellectual because of that.
It is.
I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
I don't read fiction.
It is. He basically has very little nice things to say about. It's all, whoa, if we advance too much, we're not going to be human anymore. And I'm sitting there going, you fuck, that's the point. Human bodies are flawed and gross, and mine has asthma and joint problems and all of these other flaws.
Oh my god. So I've been watching the new Animaniac.
Yeah.
They make jokes about the singularity.
Oh, good.
I was both floored and laughing hysterically at the same time. It was one of them was such a quick one too. Like, there's a new CEO character. It's a woman of color, which, just for their diversity's sake, which is fine for me. The Animaniacs go up and are like, "Did you steal our donuts?" And she's like, "Do you think I would risk my chance to get into the singularity over a donut?" Out of nowhere.
That is amazing.
Yeah, and I was just like, "What? They just made that joke in a kids show?" Like, holy shit.
Oh, wow.
Man.
Yeah.
All right, so, Furr, you saw season 1, and
Yes.
then you see season 2.
Man. I was just like, oh, I guess it isn't.
Not so fun anymore.
I guess it's like, I don't know, like, it felt like, oh man, I don't know how to explain it. It felt just like it was much more of just like an action movie.
Yeah, so I really, really, really liked the first season. I liked some of the questions raised in the second season, but it's increasingly feeling like if they have an end game in mind, they clearly did not write that much on how to get there. Because, so again, spoilers. If you have not seen any of the Westworld TV show and want to, and you have not seen season 2, they do the trope where they are telling the second season chronologically out of order through the eyes of one of the characters. And, like, it works, but it is such a jumbled mess. Like, the story they're presenting is not as complex as how they told it. So normally, like, when I use they're using the device of telling a story out of order chronologically, the main movie everyone knows of for that is Memento, right? And the thing about Memento is if you knew the whole thing in order, it is spoiling a reveal. And so, like, that's part of the fun as the viewer of, you know, there are multiple timelines going on. They're doing a lot to tell you that things are not taking place in order. But the meta of the commentary of what you as the viewer know at the time and what you're supposed to think at the time with those out-of-order scenes is important. And then you get the revelation, and you go, oh! And then the rest of the movie plays out, and it still works because that was the goal all along. They do the jumbled out-of-order trick for Season 2, but it's not in service of anything.
Oh, I got
It's
the quad. Watch out.
Yes. Instead of doing... Oh, you're dead. Yeah, instead of doing 999 damage, you do 4,998 damage. Or 3,998 damage.
Yeah, that's still not right.
I believe it's doing some kind of round up. I don't think it is... Is it the 7?
3,996. There you go.
I don't believe it's actually doing that.
Yeah, that's the
I
number
mean,
that
I'll
came up.
believe you,
Really?
but that is 999 times 4.
I know it's 999 times 4. I swear the last time I saw it was, I'm like, that's not exactly times 4. That's weird. Which made me
Look,
wonder,
the whole
like,
point
how
of
it's
Westworld
doing...
is that we're not robots, all right? We're not supposed to do perfect math.
Well, and like,
Perfect math.
you learn more about the real world in Season 2. The most fun, for me, that was like the great what if of Season 1 is you really don't know anything. So you don't know the state of humanity. You don't know if it's a paradise outside of the park or not. You don't know what other, like, what is regular technology like? And they drop all these little clues that are wonderful little questions that, if they get answers in Season 2, they're not in service of anything. But they very much play with, like, free will, of course.
I feel the questions asked were better served in the song "Are We Dancers" by The Killers.
All right, speaking of songs, did you pick up on all of the wonderful little covers they did?
Of course I did.
What was your favorite? What was
Oh,
your...
God.
Is that? No.
They did Black Hole Sun.
They did?
That was oh, beautiful.
I think that was the one, and I think I was even watching with Xander for that. We all kind of look at each other. No. I was watching with Fishy and Chaos, I think. Yeah. I'm like, why does this sound familiar? What's going on? And then, one of our friends in the group just does the overdone brr, 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 brr. We're like, hooray, we got it.
Black Hole Sun?
Yes. Now I need Andy Merrill to record a cover for that. I need Andy Merrill to do Black Hole Sun about his kid.
Oh, man.
Oh, Teddy's here. Teddy's played with us before. It's been a while.
Man,
Speaking
that
of-
would be the best, most obnoxious video. Brack singing Black Hole Song. Oh my god! Like, just take a second and do it in your head.
No.
It's
No.
so bad.
No.
A friend of
Amazing.
ours, a friend of ours, Buddy Goodboy Esquire, can do a pretty spot-on Brack impersonation. Oh, thank you, Teddy. Yes, ACAB. That's the opposite experience I get when I put that in my server descriptions. Usually assholes show up. Although I've banned so many of them over the year of doing this that, like, they're like, it's too much work to connect. And, like, playing a first-person shooter through a VPN usually means you're getting pretty screwed on your ping. But, oh no. Head Foxen in the chat says Foxhole Sun.
Just take Fox Yiffy noises and auto-tune it to Black Hole Sun.
Oh God! Why? See, Jumbles, you're more furry adjacent every day.
I mean, I know this shit. I still use the internet. I mean, come on.
Hello, Spider Split Second. I railed you with a beam of green doom. Ooh, someone else is running around with clones, and I just took the bait. Teddy is using clones. What was your... Did you have, like, any reveal... Did you guess anything unfolding in Season 1 or Season 2 that, like, the reveal happened? You're like, oh, I got it! Hooray!
The one scientist was a host. That was the one that I got in Season 1.
Ah, you pinged Bernard?
Yeah. The one that didn't get me, that everyone chided me for, was the Man in Black. I've, like, the Season 1 time thing, that, I was just like, and then, like, I rewatched it, because, like, I watched it when it came out, and then I rewatched it. It's been my, like, I call it my airplane series. It's the thing I watch when I fly on airplanes, which I'm doing a sad amount of time recently,
right?
Thanks to my employer.
Don't.
So it's like, I've been through the last 2 seasons, but, like, I was like, man, how did I not pick up on any of these context clues?
Like,
Man.
how they show you the guts of the hosts, and, like, why does this one have all these, like, old and rudimentary mechanical parts? It's like, they're telling you. They're telling you right in this scene.
Again, like, the majority of my enjoyment of film and cinema is on a very basic level because I am a very, very basic person. I don't ever, like, read into subtexts. Like, even with music, like, I don't know emotional undertones. I can't get that deep. But even Westworld, it was just hitting me like a friggin' brick, and I didn't see it.
Hey,
Yeah.
you should watch the new Marvel TV shows. Can't miss that subtext.
Oh man,
That sounds like a challenge.
I had to watch WandaVision, if only because of
No spoilers yet. I'm about
Draggor
to start
hasn't
that.
watched it.
I am just going to say I had to watch WandaVision. I don't follow the MCU very closely, so I was kind of lost, and then I got some of it. And I appreciate the directing. I appreciate what they did. It seemed like the creative team had a whole lot of fun building it, and I could definitely see under the layers how they were having a lot of fun with it. But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't understand the, like, emotional significance of a lot of that. Like, a lot of... I'm an idiot. I like to watch movies. I like Kong versus Godzilla because monkey and monster. There they go. Okay.
All right.
Well, I
so how
mean-
much did you like Monsters vs. Robots, Pacific Rim?
I watched a supercut of all the robot fights, and that was about it. I feel
all
I
you
got the
need.
experience. I was weirded out because GLaDOS is like the AI.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Like, it's Ellen McLean, but it's also Ellen McLean with the GLaDOS auto-tuner.
Yeah, they got the rights from Valve for that.
For real, or are you just talking out of your butt?
I
No.
believe they did.
Interesting.
Because you have to keep in mind, like, you know, Gaben and a lot of the people at Valve, they are super nerds for everything Guillermo del Toro does. Because Guillermo del Toro is a super nerd's director and movie maker.
But let's be
mean,
honest, they're
I'm
not
not
going to make a
surprised.
Portal 3, so it's not like they're going to be using that.
Right.
Oh my
I mean, I always got to remind people, like, sorry, Valve isn't a video game company. That's not what they do.
They just make money.
Yeah. They print money. All right. So Firr, what is... We've talked about BLFC. We're going to wrap up a little bit here because I don't have anything lined up after. And my leg is killing me, so I got to go do my physical therapy. So what would you like to end on? Special guest Firr. Let's do the full-on advertising for Firr. How should folks find you? What in particular of things you're working on you want people to check out? Of course, BLFC as we've mentioned, Furr's doing stuff for. I hope to be able to throw my hat in for that, or at least donate my server for it.
Please, the whole socialist utopia part of it is that we need people to help.
Yeah, so if you were to do an open, like, casting call of sorts, what things in particular are you looking, or is that group looking for help on that you can speak about?
Virtual BLFC, in terms of, this isn't even like, come join staff. Virtual BLFC is definitely going to be recruiting people to help build the worlds that they will be using in-game. That doesn't necessarily mean people who are 3D modelers. That means people who want to write stories, who want to like express some kind of creative talent. People want to just show up and kind of help, like, encourage other people is totally, things that people are going to need. A lot of the quote-unquote soft tasks in terms of building stuff, people are definitely looking for that to help out. It's going to be one of those things where it's like, we're hoping, I'm saying we, like I'm actually like part of the core BLFC staff, but the part that the team is hoping is that they don't know what it's going to look like. They don't know what these end worlds are going to look like yet, because they want to have people help out and build it and kind of in character. I'm doing air quotes, but you can't see it. Like in character,
I do that so
build
much.
These worlds. So if you have any interest in that, check it out. Check out Neos. I'm Firr on Twitter. Reach out. I will help you get your character in. If not, there's like, you literally show up and you can like press a button that says like get a mentor, and you'll get someone to help you build your avatar, get into the game, walk you around. So if you want to help out with BLFC, that would be your step one. Search for BLFC in the game, find what's happening, and like it's going to be cool if we can get people to buy in on it. And I feel that once you see what's happening, it'll be super easy to do that. Another convention I'm helping out with is Virtual Anthrocon. That's going to be much more of a traditional virtual event, as traditional as, a 1-year-old thing can be.
Yeah.
Keep an eye out for that, though, because Anthrocon is doing a lot of stuff that is way different than like a lot of the virtual conventions they're doing now. The one thing about them that I'm really excited about is they're going to be doing mostly pre-taped paneling, pre-taped
Pre-recorded,
stuff.
for those of you that don't know what pre-tape means.
I'm sorry, pre-recorded.
What's a tape?
Why are you putting sticky stuff with your video?
Oh, furries are very familiar with tape.
I thought you were going to say furries are familiar with sticky stuff.
Oh!
4K no los dos.
So,
Oh my
like,
God,
if
Grey
you...
Foxen ended my reign of terror.
Oh, thank you, Grey Foxen. Thank you. So keep an eye out there, because there's going to be some really cool stuff for that. Like Virtual Anthrocon, like, they're not even thinking right now about doing like a VR space. Like, they want to put on what is going to be an incredibly well-polished broadcast. And if you saw Virtual Anthrocon last year, like...
Yeah, that was put together in a matter of weeks.
That was put together in a matter of weeks, and honestly, and I hate saying this because the chairman of the convention that I love is in here, but they still had the best produced show.
Absolutely.
Just hands down. In terms of production quality, in terms of like what's going on. If you want to help Virtual Anthrocon exist and happen, check out Anthrocon's Twitter. There's a link where you can register for Virtual Anthrocon. It is a donation to help us get things like, get equipment to Pittsburgh to actually do a proper TV studio style broadcast.
I was gonna say, a lot of us will have, at least you can do a controlled... These staffers all have had their second shot and are in the clear.
Yep, we are, COVID protocols were definitely a thing at the last one. It's going to be the same deal. It's going to be we're hedging on the fact that hopefully by the start of June, when we plan on taping this, it's going to be the kind of situation where it's going to be easier to gather in small groups. Not a large group like a convention, but at least to the point where we can get some people together to do this kind of thing. But the problem is, because of that and because of all those production values, it is going to be something that takes a fair amount more money than a lot of these other virtual cons. So that's why Anthrocon's doing this, pay for a registration, kind of like what First Square did, where you can buy a registration, you get a badge, or you get a t-shirt in return. But it is very apparent that this is a in-kind donation to kind of help them out. So if you want to see that kind of stuff happen, please go out there and help them out. Like, the more people that give, the better a show that we'll be able to do. And of course, a portion is going to go to the charity. So if you want to help out the animals, that's a very good way to do it. So in terms of the furry conventions coming up, those are the two that I'd like, you should probably keep an eye out for. Those are the two that I am personally helping out with. And they're back-to-back weekends. Anthrocon is the first weekend of July. BBLFC is the second weekend. And they are going to be definitely two total ends of the spectrum in terms of what virtual conventions can do. So if you want it, if you don't like one, you're gonna like the other. That's kind of what I've been feeling about these.
Nice. Thank you very much for all of that info, Firr.
Yeah.
And as always, a big thank you to Xander and Alkali both for allowing me to do all of this through their Discord and also broadcasting to their YouTube channel, which makes archival so much easier. This has been the latest episode of DooMing with me, Draggor. Thank you, Firr, for joining and making this a wonderful Sunday afternoon. I believe the next week's guest is going to be Tanya. You probably have seen her perform at various furry conventions. If you've been to MFF, Anthrocon, BLFC, I believe she's performed at all of them. Maybe not Anthrocon. Cons blur together, and now that it's been so long since I've been to them, I really can't tell what happened at which. After Tanya, if you go to draggor.me/doom, there's a calendar embedded that says the next guest. So Firr was the beginning of a run of 4 weeks of guests. So that next up will be Tanya, and then SemJ will be returning to talk about service dogs. And then I also have... oh my gosh, the calendar's not in front of me. Hang on, I'm going to the webpage so I can say it out loud. This is bad. I even reviewed this before doing this whole thing.
Shoot them.
All right, so next week is Tanya. Then the Sunday, April 18th is SemJ, and then Sunday, April 25th is Alice Kane Wolf, a musician I met in Colorado, of all places, I think officially for the first time, and she also plays and does some killer metal and all sorts of stuff. Their various links and things will be advertised on Twitter and through this blog that's right up there, assuming my avatar pointed at it. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Firr, and thank you, Jumbles, and thank you to everyone who was playing along today, and have a good rest of your Sunday.